Hello and welcome to this short lesson on the BOPPS lesson planning model. My name is Wenona Partridge and I'm an Educational Development Specialist at the Wenona Center for Teaching and Learning at the University of Saskatchewan. So I want to ask first, do you remember in your undergraduate experience, or maybe even your graduate experience, that first day that you had to present to your peers? Were you terrified? Were you excited? Maybe both of those things, you couldn't tell the difference. I know that's how I felt the first time that I had to present anything to my peers. And it was in an undergraduate classroom, and I remember walking in feeling terrified and sweating profusely and being unable to speak at all for the first little bit. It was quite awkward. So when I think back to that experience, given what I now know about teaching and learning, I wish I'd had a model, such as the BOPPS lesson planning model, to lean on in that moment, not only to help structure my thinking, but also to help structure the experience that I was trying, not very adeptly, to walk my peers through and actually bring them towards some kind of learning. I'm pretty sure all I did was ramble nervously. So that's what we're going to go through today, is the BOPPS lesson planning model, not the nervous rambling. So a bridge-in is our first step, and that presents us with the why. It begins the learning cycle by gaining your attention, by building your motivation, and explaining why the lesson outcome is important. So all of this information I'm drawing from the ISW handbook, and that's part 1.16. The outcome presents the what. So the outcome will outline the learning intention by clarifying what it is that you should be able to know, think, or do by the end of any lesson. In this case, our outcome is by the end of this video, you should be able to identify the 6 elements of BOPPS. A pre-assessment is an important part of any lesson. It's really important to find out what it is that your learners already know, not only so that you can gauge their interest and what you need to really focus on, but also so that you can activate their prior learning. It'll help things stick a lot better. So as the handbook states, it formally or informally answers the question, what does the learner already know about the subject and the outcome of the lesson? So let's find out. Have you already heard of the BOPPS model? Have you used this model already? From there, you can jump confidently into a participatory activity, and that presents the how. How are we going to get there together? How are we going to learn? And it involves you actively in the learning process. So it should be an intentional sequence of activities or events, learning events, that help you achieve the desired learning outcome. So let's think back to that outcome that we set earlier for this lesson. And for example, our activity could be, and I'll get you to do this if you can, on your own sheet of paper, write down what you remember of the first 3 steps, and one of them should be easy, it's right in front of you. Write down those first 3 steps and then share those with a peer, or write to yourself what you think will already be the final 2, given what you've already learned. So take a little guess at what you think is coming, and remember back to what we've already passed. Are you ready? Let's find out if you guessed correctly. I'll give you a hint. The final step is summary. So I'll assume you've taken a little bit of time, reviewed what parts of BOPPS you remember, forecasted forward to imagine what parts of BOPPS might be coming, and if you had a peer with you, discuss that. Otherwise, you've hopefully written it down on a piece of paper. Now we are at the stage of post-assessment. And this is the point at which you formally or informally find out what your learners can demonstrate. Are they able to demonstrate that they have indeed learned enough to meet the outcome that you've already set forward? Maybe they need something else. Maybe something got missed. So let's find out. Review your sheet of paper and compare your answers with your peers if you had them there, Or turn it over so you can't see what you've already written and try again. Start right from B and move through the steps. Are you able to identify all 6 steps? And our final step, like the hint earlier, is summary, which is the closure of the lesson. And this step provides an opportunity for you to reflect briefly and integrate the learning as the lesson cycle comes to an end. In some of these situations, this step, can include the development of an action plan of how you're going to apply what you just learned outside of the workshop or outside of this lesson, or maybe where you're going to go next. So hopefully, in your case, it's now your turn to write out and then teach your first BOPPS lesson. Good luck.